Welcome to the Soul Craft Your Life podcast. My name is Carmen Marshall, and I'm a life design and manifestation expert, a seven-figure entrepreneur, wellness educator, and a dance teacher. And I'm passionate about helping you create a magical and fulfilling life. Whether you want to discover your purpose, learn how to attract financial abundance, or create more health, balance, joy, and connection in your life, the Soul Craft Your Life podcast has got you covered. One part strategy and one part soul. Each week we explore both the practical and the spiritual with intriguing experts and fascinating human beings, all sharing their wisdom to help expand what we think is possible for our own lives. The goal? To help you create a life you love on your own terms that stems from your soul. Let's dive in and discover what this life has to offer each of us. Hello, gorgeous souls. Welcome to episode 13. And this is a shorty by me, how to stop procrastination and get stuff done and how to get it done soulfully. So this shorty is going to be a little bit different. I'm actually going to split it into 2 episodes because Soulcraft is not a productivity show. It really is about manifesting a beautiful, aligned, soulful life that is right for you. But why I wanted to talk specifically about procrastination, even though it can seem like a productivity thing, when we procrastinate, we become our own energy vampires. So we literally are sucking the energy from our life force because we're feeling like something is hanging over our shoulder. We can feel guilty. We can feel this sense of dread. So this is one of the things I get asked in my programs, in my one-on-one coaching. How can I stop procrastinating? And how can I get all of these things I want to get done to create this beautiful, magical life that I want to create? So what we're going to do in this episode is we're actually going to get into the energetics of procrastination. We're going to look under the hood to what's really running the show. Because no matter what we want to create in our life, whether we want to manifest something, whether we want an incredible relationship, whether we want a magical business, it all goes back to what's actually really running the show, which is our subconscious beliefs. It's what we feel about ourselves, and it's our identity. So we always want to look there first. And as you know from Soulcraft, we manifest not from what we want, but from who we are. So what our subconscious beliefs are, our sense of self-worth, what's really running the show, our identity, so what's underneath. So let's look at that first. So number 1, think of anything that you perhaps are procrastinating on. So it could be like a little task, it could be a big project, it could be a tough conversation, just something that you know that you need to do, but you're not doing it. So the first thing we want to look at is alignment. Is this thing still aligned with your current dreams, goals, and intentions? So alignment is always one of the most important things we can look at in anything in life. And even though this episode is about procrastination, use everything that I'm talking to you about for anything in your life, anything that you want to manifest. So looking at alignment, what this means is you currently, today, is this task in alignment with what you want to achieve today? And what I mean by that is maybe 2 years ago, you set a goal of completing a marathon or going into a bodybuilding competition or creating a certain type of course. But 2 years later, 6 months later, it's not who you are anymore, and it's not what you want to do. So first of all, you want to look at that. Is this really something that I want to do? Because everything that we want to create has to come from inside. The other thing that we want to look at is, are we doing this for someone else rather than ourselves? So for example, if your partner, your mother, your best friend thinks you should go on a diet, unless you really want to, you're not probably going to do it. Even if you do it, it's going to be really hard. So it has to be something that you're doing for you rather than somebody else. The other thing you want to look at in terms of alignment is it something that you feel society is telling you to do, that you feel you should do, rather than it be something that you want to do? So an example might be, we know that social media is really big right now, and a lot of us are marketing on social media. So maybe you think you should take a social media course because everyone tells you that's where you should market. But if it's not really where you want to market, even though society is telling you to do that, it's probably not what you want to do. So alignment is super crucial. Now I'm going to give you some journal prompts for this, and this will be helpful again in anything. Write down, I want to do this because, and then just journal about that. Another great journal prompt, this matters to me because. A third one, after I do this, I will feel, because sometimes, of course, we're resisting something, but if we actually think about how will we feel when we've got it done, that can help us actually do it. And this will help me grow in this way. So all 4 of those journal prompts will help you really get into alignment and really feel, is this something that I want to do right now with who I currently am and who I currently want to be? Now, I'm going to give you the biggest caveat for this. We don't want to ever use alignment for not having the courage and not facing our fears, because it can be very easy to say, let's say, for example, that you said that you wanted to do a public speech, like say you get on stage somewhere. And then as it got closer, you're like, I don't really want to do that. That's probably not in alignment. That's probably not facing your fears, which I'm going to go into number 2. So you want to be really careful, because expansion, creating a life that we love, requires courage. And courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is feeling the fear and doing it anyway. So when you're thinking, am I in alignment with this? What you want to be thinking is this going to help me get where I really want to go in life? And perhaps am I just resisting it because of fear? Alignment is so important. And for myself, I can give you a good example. I was going to do a podcast on a topic, and I just was really procrastinating about it. And I realized probably about a week later, after like resisting it, I don't really want to be talking about that topic anymore. I've outgrown it. And so that's a really good example of it just not being in alignment. Now, if week after week went by and I'm not doing my podcast, then that probably is fear. Unless really I'm not talking about what I want to talk about. But I mean, I created the podcast so I can talk about what I want to talk about. So again, you really want to think, is this in alignment with me? And then secondly, if it's in alignment, perhaps is it fear that is stopping me? And remember, in order to expand, to create a beautiful life, we have to actually step into fear, feel the fear, and do it anyways. Okay, so number 2 is, am I procrastinating because of fear? Is this my resistance? Now, there's 4 things that people are usually fearful about. And I've seen this year after year in all my programs and all my coaching. Number 1, there's the fear of failing. Number 2, there's the fear of rejection. Number 3, the fear of looking silly. And number 4, the fear of the amount of work it's going to take, or dreading the work itself. So what we want to do is, when you're looking at that specific thing that you have been procrastinating on, if there is a fear, what category might it fall into? What we want to do is we want to reframe the fear, and then we want to feel the fear and do it anyways. So let's talk about reframing first of all. So when we think of fear of failure, and this is one of the most common ones for everyone, and this is why we also hear time after time, the people who are the most successful have simply failed more, because they're not worried about the actual failure, because they know that that failure is going to teach them something. So what I invite you to think about is, if you're worried about failing, can you switch it to thinking, it's okay if I fail because I'm going to learn, but at least I will have stepped into the thing that I want to do and I want to create. And remind yourself, the most successful people are those that just fail, but they keep going. The people who are not successful are the ones who don't go out on a limb and they're not taking risks, and then they never achieve anything. So reframe the fear of failing into, failure just teaches me what isn't working. You've probably heard about Thomas Edison taking 10,000 times to find a way that a light bulb would work. So he didn't tell himself, oh, this doesn't work. He just kept trying. But every failure will teach you something. We can't make failure mean something about us that's negative. It just means that the way that we chose to do something didn't work. It doesn't mean anything about us. It doesn't mean that we're not good enough. It doesn't mean that we can't do it. It doesn't mean that we're not capable. It just means the way, the process that we chose is not the one for it. Time for a quick commercial break. Hi, this is Carmen, and I'm sponsoring myself. And since this topic is so related to meaning and purpose, I wanted to encourage you to go to my website. And there you'll find my official Soulcraft quiz to discover what your soul's really craving. It's only 7 questions, so it'll take you 2 to 3 minutes max, and it will help you hone in on what your soul really wants. Hint, the answer may surprise you. And even if you already feel on track with your purpose, the quiz can help you with important distinctions. And if you're completely new to purpose and your soul's calling, this can be a crucial first step. So, Go to carmenmarshall.com/quiz to take this fun, free, and illuminating quiz. Now, let's get back to the podcast. Okay, so fear of failure, that's a great way to reframe it. Then let's look at fear of rejection. Now, this can come a lot in business. Like, say, for example, if you're following up with prospects, if you're in the sales industry, a lot of times people will not follow up with their prospects because they're worried about that failure. So they'd almost rather stay in a sense of not knowing rather than somebody saying no to them. So, what I always like to do to reframe that is that no has nothing to do with you. So, if we're a waiter in a restaurant and we go up to our customer, and after they've had a big meal and we ask them if they want to have dessert, and they say, "No, I'm full," we don't take that personally. We're just like, "No, they're full. It's nothing wrong with me. They're just full." And that's what we want to think when somebody says no. Let's say, for example, in your business and you're following up with someone and they say, no, this isn't for me, it doesn't mean anything about you. It's just they're saying no to the experience, the product, a certain thing that's not right for them. All right, so then let's reframe number 3, looking silly. So this can be a huge fear because it all goes back to our DNA, where if we were different, we would get pushed out of the tribe. And that was just a means of survival. So it's really in our DNA. We don't want to be different. It's also why it's very hard to walk to the beat of our own drum, because we're worried that we're not going to be the same as the tribe and we'll get kicked out. It's on social media. We don't want to say the wrong thing. It's so in our DNA. But part of creating a life that you love, you have to be willing to go against the grain, and you have to be willing to walk to the beat of your own drum. Almost everything that I've done that I absolutely love, people have told me not to do, whether it was living around the world, whether it was teaching dance when I started building my business because people thought it would take away from building my business, whether it was taking my business online because people were like, you can't take your business online, it's a face-to-face business. And all those things, I knew it was what was going to create the things that I love. I was just following that thread of curiosity and what I felt was right. So, one of the things that can help you is to have a mantra: I walk to the beat of my own drum and I don't worry what people think. And even if I get up on stage and I trip or I can't get my words out right, I can't even tell you how many times I've done public speaking and I've tripped over my own words. I do it on my podcast and I've been speaking for years. But what I learned is if you can laugh at yourself, it just relaxes the audience as well. And they see you as human and they relate to you more. When we just be ourselves and we be vulnerable and we laugh at ourselves, people are on our side because they see themselves in you. All right, then for reframing the amount of work it's going to take or dreading the work itself. Now, we all have things that we just have to do. It's not even that society tells us to do. It's things like taxes. It's things like cleaning our house. We can still outsource that, but you still have to, like when I do my taxes, I still have to do a certain amount of work before I give it to my accountant. If I have someone cleaning my house, I still have to do certain things around that. So there's always going to be things that maybe we don't necessarily like to do, but we need to do. Or even if it's something that we love doing, like we're creating a PowerPoint for a topic we really love, it can still be work and it's going to take a while. So, what you want to do in this case is think of how you will feel after, as well as reminding yourself, why is this important to me? Okay, so say for example, when I'm creating a webinar, that always takes me a lot of time because it's the images, what I'm saying. What I do is I just say to myself, okay, why am I doing this? Because I want to impact people. I want to show them a different way. I want to help them with their challenges in their business or their life. And then I also picture, okay, how am I going to feel when this is finished? I'm going to feel so good. And I'm going to feel this sense of freedom. And that's what actually helps me get the thing done. This is not so much a fear. I guess we could say it's a fear of the work, but it's not really. It's more like, okay, this is something I love doing, but it still requires work. And so it still is very helpful to remind ourselves why we're doing it and how will we feel afterwards. Now, again, something like taxes, we're never going to enjoy anyway. Well, if you're an accountant, you might, but I'm never going to enjoy doing my taxes or even doing a minimal amount of it. So what I will just think in this case, okay, why is this important? So I don't get in trouble with the government. And then secondly, how will I feel after I've done it? I'll feel great. Okay, so let's kind of wrap this up because this episode, part 1 of how to stop procrastination and get stuff done soulfully, is more really to look under the hood on who we're being and the energetics around procrastination. Now, again, why is this so important? When we procrastinate, that takes away our life force. And then we have this sense of dread and it affects everything that we do. Imagine during the day, you're walking around talking to people, you're building your business, but if you've got this thing on your shoulder that you're like, I haven't done it yet, it impacts how you be. It impacts your energy. It impacts your vibration. It impacts everything. So actually stopping procrastination and getting stuff done is a very soulful, spiritual practice. It's really, really important. So hopefully this will help more with the energetics. Next episode, I'm going to give you an actual process, but these energetics are really important as well. And remember, you can use them for anything in your life. One, is it in alignment with my current dreams, goals, and intentions? But with the caveat, making sure that you're not using that as an excuse, because in order to step into our amazing life, we do have to expand. We do have to do the things that we're scared of. And then number two, am I living in fear in any way around this thing that I'm resisting? And is that fear because of potentially thinking I'm going to fail, I'm going to get rejected, I'm going to look silly, or the amount of work it's going to take, or dreading the work itself? We can reframe those, and then we want to just feel the fear and do it anyways. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is feeling the fear and still doing it anyways. We will never get rid of fear. When I first started public speaking, it was to a small group. Now, was I scared? Yes. Now, after I did it for a few times, I was no longer scared. But then I had to start speaking to people of 100 in a room. Was I scared? Yes. But then what was the way through? The only way through was to keep doing it. And then speaking to 100 people, no problem at all. Then the next was 200 or 300. Then it was 8,000. And imagine my fear to go out on stage to 8,000 people. Was it still there? Yes. It wasn't until I kept doing that that went away. So again, our goal is not to get rid of fear. Our goal is to feel the fear, reframe it, and then even if we still feel it, do it anyway. And that is one of the biggest things that we can do. Like every day, I try to think about, okay, is there anything that I'm scared of doing? Why am I scared of doing that? How can I reframe it? And how can I step into courage and do it anyway? All right, I hope that was super helpful for you. If you found this helpful and you think it would help someone else, please do share. As well, it's always helpful if you post this on Instagram, a screenshot of the actual podcast with your learnings. That always helps as well. This just helps the podcast get more views through any platform that I'm on, and then it actually gets higher in organic disbursement, which is always helpful. And then if you'd like to leave a review, the outro will tell you how as well. All right, I will see you on the next episode, which will be episode 14, and we'll go into an actual process that will help you nix procrastination and get stuff done. Bye for now. Thank you so much for listening. And if you enjoyed this episode, I'd absolutely love if you left a review on iTunes. It really helps me to get the podcast out there to support more people just like you to create soulful lives. And as a thank you, I'd love to send you my 20 personal affirmations for manifesting an aligned, magical, and fulfilling life. To access this freebie, simply send a screenshot of your review to soulcraft@carmenmarshall.com, and I'll send you my favorite affirmations and mantras straight to your inbox. All my love, and I'll see you on the next episode.